Alright guys, so you must have seen a lot of videos where new immigrants or probably people living in Canada talk a lot bad about life in Canada. But still, they are immigrants and they are still choosing to live in this country. Now, the main question or the underlying question is that why immigrants still choose to remain or live in Canada when they know or they really think that their country overseas or their home country is still better, they have better jobs or maybe better lifestyle or luxury. Why do they still want to remain in Canada? Why do they like this world better than the world that they have back home? Well, I have heard this question a lot of times, and I dare to put seven top reasons why I think I, as an immigrant, would like to remain in Canada rather than choose to go back to my home country where now I am a Canadian or I will be a Canadian. And same is the case with a lot of people where they are permanent residents or citizens and they still don't want to go back. Let's just look at the top 7 reasons why immigrants want to remain in Canada. Alright guys, welcome back once again. My name is Sahil and I'm a regulated Canadian immigration consultant and I practice in Ontario. My office is here. If you have to get in touch with me, my number is on the screen and the details are there in the description box. More than happy to connect with you. Guys, today's video is not about immigration whatsoever, but it's a heart to heart. It's a part of my heart to heart series, the podcast, and the format of this particular podcast is a little more informative and a little more different, where I will still talk about my heart and my true experiences as an immigrant, because you already know that I came to Canada a couple of years ago as a permanent resident and now I am almost a citizen. I'm turning into a Canadian citizen very, very soon. And all throughout these years, I have accumulated a lot of experiences and I've also helped a lot of immigrants like yourself. Probably if you're an immigration aspirant, I have helped a lot of people in their journeys to Canada. During all of these conversations and tea talks and whatsoever, one basic underlying question, and I have also made a particular video where I was talking about that, why Canada may not be that good, why life for children may be on a different path, and then also my other video where it talks about don't come to Canada before you watch this video, right? So that video also gained a lot of traction, and then this repeated question came again and again, that's okay, we understand that probably you have your own set of reasons why you don't like Canada, then why don't you go back? So guys, while I was speaking to my wife, we were thinking of what really happened and also what are the kind of reasons. And it reminded me of this conversation with one of my friends, Sarabjit. He was over there at my place a couple of days ago, and I asked him that, do you like Canada? He said, okay, these are the issues, these are the potential problems, and blah blah, and things back home are way easier and whatsoever. Okay, and then I asked him a direct question that, okay, Sarabjit, why don't you go back home? Right? I mean, you think that Canada may not be that good, then why don't you actually go back home? And he pointed out, he's a Punjabi guy, and he pointed out a very, just two words, and which really took us by surprise. He said, Paji, mithi jail hai na? So that means, in Hindi we say mithi jail, Punjabi we say mithi jail hai, and in English if you translate that, it basically means it's a sweet prison. It's a prison that is more like a paradise, but it is still a prison, right? So there's a very deep meaning attached to it, and talking about these deep meanings and what exactly and why exactly we think our life here would be better than the life back home, I have identified top 7 reasons and I will be sharing them today. So the first one, I think, guys, in Canada, be it your job or your employment, I think it is way better and it's way good and it's way more opportunist in terms of the options that you have than you would find back home. In Canada, you get respected for your time. That means your overtime or maybe the time that you put in, you are paid by the hour. Okay, people don't judge you by, they do judge you by the performance and all, but still they do respect your time. Okay, and everybody whom you talk to, even at an entry level at a retail shop, they talk about how man hours did you put in, right? So they value your time, and then obviously the value of the time goes up if there is more risk involved. It goes up if there is more labor involved. Like if I compare that with India, if you hire a daily wage construction worker, the person is paid probably 250 rupees to maybe 500 rupees a day. In Canada, the person might be paid at least $40 to $50 an hour, right? So that's the kind of difference that we're looking at. Every job is respected here. No job is low, no job is high. A CEO will stand in line with a taxi driver, and both of them will equally respect each other, will not even know whether one is that and the other one, is a CEO. Probably very high chances the taxi driver could be earning more than the CEO as well, which is very quite obvious, and I've personally seen a lot of places, but still there is no difference, right? So the jobs and the self-employed people, for both the opportunities and the job scenario or the employment scenario is very good. Okay, so that's the first top reason. The second reason why I think is that Canada, nobody can go, without a food probably overnight, until and unless the person is not willing to work, or probably there is a situation where the person is not able to work. For example, if the person is old or maybe disabled or does not have an authorization to work, then for sure. But if a person is good, has work authorization, is well, healthy and everything, and still if the person is, saying that I'm having hungry and sleepless nights, then probably the person is not working as much, because in Canada the concept of minimum wage is prevalent. That means nobody will really be as poor as you expect, or probably poverty is way lesser in terms when you compare that with the other countries. I'm not saying there is zero poverty whatsoever, but still people below the poverty line, it's way lesser than as compared to the other countries. Because here, for example, in Ontario, your minimum wage is about $15-16, right? So even if somebody is willing to work, say at a coffee shop, or maybe drive a taxi, or maybe work in the construction field, two people working, say husband wife, if a couple is working, they are able to earn a basic living for sure, right? They can at least afford a basement, maybe in a far distant place, or maybe in another city, and then also get their bread and butter easily. Well, at least the situation will be not as grim as the developing nations. Okay, so for this, and due to this reason also, it's pretty much attached to a crime in a particular city. Wherever there is shortage of food or probably money, and there is overutilization of people, and probably people are being exploited and whatsoever, that gives birth to crime, and people being frustrated, and all of that is not as grim as here in the other countries. So Canada is much better in that terms. Hence, theft, crime, all is in control, right? So people are way more happier and way more satisfied in life than the other countries. And obviously such situations affect us immigrants in a lot direct sense, right? Because we are also bound to live amongst these people, and then they affect us on a daily basis, right? So we have to deal with such people, and if other people are happy, for of course we'll also be safe. Which brings me to the next point, which is the third point. At Canada is much safe and secure. You have good control of police, the security forces, the border security forces, the army, the navy and the air force. Everything is good here in Canada, right? You feel safe. They have good international alliances, and the law and order is good. The law is fair for everybody, and it doesn't favor the rich or the poor. They really go by the books, and if a person is going by the books or by the rule book, then you can definitely expect the law will be delivered. And we have personally seen that. Recently my wife was in an accident, and we literally did not fight the case as much as we could, and we thought we are genuine and we are truthful, and we left it all on the law and system. Fortunately, it worked in our favor, and we did not have to shell out a single penny for that event, right? So we were safe, and we actually saw law and order being delivered right on time, without any fuss created or any issues with us. Like, we did not even have to face the police any single day. We were all fine. This definitely gives me way for the fourth point, which I think, and my father was also here, he was also talking about that Canada is much cleaner. The water is much clean, the air is much clean. If you look at the AQI, the air quality index, every day it's sitting at 0, 1, 2, it's that good. So it's 1, 2, or maybe at max 3, and whenever it's 3, the system shows it's polluted, or maybe expect a couple of pollutants, or how do you call say allergens and all of that. And whereas if you compare that with, I'm from Delhi, right? I'm from Delhi, India. Average air quality index in the area that I see is about 200, 180 and whatsoever. It's really bad. It's like smoking a cigarette every time. And in Canada, when the air quality is only 2 or 3, you can definitely expect to breathe fresh. On the roads, you will not see garbage. And the roads are much cleaner, the parks are much cleaner. People tend to maintain their habits really well. If you go around these Brampton and all of these neighborhoods, and when you see such clean streets, you are surprised, because these are the people who are there back home in India, throwing all that garbage and everything, and then you put them here in Canada, they're all good, they're all well, they're all sane, they don't do all of that. It's surprising to see, but still, this country is much cleaner, no pollution whatsoever. It's much beautiful, it's very, very well organized. 4-lane roads and 8-lane roads and 10-lane roads, all of these is very common to see. The highways are great. You have 5 ways, 5 lanes on each side, or 10 lanes put together. It's a great, great view. The next I particularly think, and it's a lot controversial as well, I think free medical is definitely helpful. I know people do have to stand in a lot of lineups, and there were a couple of cases back, in a couple of days, where people died while they were waiting for the medical services. Well, guys, in any country, if you go in a comparison with the other countries where you live, you will still realize that the medical system, while being free, is delivered more efficiently and more smartly in Canada. For sure, bad events can happen to anybody, but still, I think comparatively it is much better. The hospitals are clean, the doctors are well trained, the nurses are also well trained. The prescription medication system is also good. Hence, all rounded, it's good. I know there are a couple of shortfalls, but I still find that it's good and worth the effort. For everything else, you can obviously take a short trip back home, get it fixed, and then come back. Or maybe get yourself a medical insurance and claim on that. That also helps. If, say for example, an issue like, say, probably a heart surgery or maybe a cancer treatment or whatsoever, if you go back home, say if I have to compare that with India, anybody who does not have a medical insurance is expected to shell out a bomb. Like, it can cost you up to 50 lakhs or maybe 1 CR. Whereas if the same issue happened in Canada to a permanent resident or a citizen, it's going to be free of charge, right? The person might have to spend a couple of $100 here or there in on medication or whatsoever, which could again be covered by your medical insurer, right? So it technically is very good, especially in serious issues and obviously hospitalizations. The next very important one is basically free education. Guys, I personally think that this is a very important point, where the basic right to education is there and is free for everybody. Now, guys, imagine if the population of your country is very well educated, and the country also ensures that despite being free, the the education is delivered more efficiently and to everybody. They will ensure that the kids are being educated, right? So it is not only free, it is delivered and ensured it is delivered as well. Okay, so the education system here in Canada, or the infrastructure, is pretty good. Obviously, private schools or private colleges will be a lot more efficient. There's no doubt about it. There are more specialized schools as well, skill-based schools as well. But still, if you look at the education system overall, and when you compare that with with the back home, where the children are not even getting their basic right to education, compare those two things, and then you will see that it is much better here, right? So it is definitely worth the effort and the investment. The next, I think, guys, for kids again, I know there was a video that I created for kids, and I was talking about whether kids are safe here or not. But on a comparison level, if you look at, kids in Canada are much more free at mind. They don't have that much stress on them. They are not pressurized by the thought of what will we do when we grow up. Like in India, I know when we were growing up, all we were taught by our elders and everybody around us was that if you become a doctor or you become an engineer, only then you will be able to survive. Otherwise, you are a waste in life. Okay. Now, such is not the case in Canada. A student or a child is free to choose his or her own area of expertise or preference or passion. I probably think that a photographer or maybe a musician or an artist or a handyman or a carpenter or a plumber or an electrician, these are wide variety of things. Look at the children who are not able to comprehend things that well. Not everybody can be very well educated, right? Not every student is the same. Not every student can be a scholar. Not every student can get 90%. What happens to the other 90%? So top 10% for sure they'll be good, but what happens to the other 90%? They keep on struggling, right? Now in Canada, those 90% don't really have to worry much, because they will also be able to make really good living for themselves only if they're able to work hard. Now, let's go back to my second point again. Nobody has to sleep hungry until unless the person is not willing to, right? If the person is willing to work by using his mind or his body, whatever, the person will be able to make a living for himself. The person does not have to worry that, okay, what will I do in life? Don't worry about it. Follow your passion. Start delivering quality and performance in whatever you do. For example, if you make coffee, start delivering quality and put in your passion, and deliver performance in that. For sure somebody will identify you, give you good job, give you good money for your performance, or you will be able to survive by being self-employed as well. Well, there is no dearth of opportunities here in Canada. So I personally think that students or children do not have that pressure system around them, and they do not feel stressed about it. And I also have a child now, right? So I am really worried for my child, right, all the time. So when I think about going back to India, or maybe maybe even compare about moving back or whatsoever, because those thoughts never leave you, right? I mean, you can't stop thinking about your home country, a country where you spent almost 30 years of your life. How can you stop thinking about it, right? Your parents are there, your family is there, your friends are there. Well, when I start thinking about those things and that life, these things start flashing in front of me, and then I think that, okay, these are important grounds. My basic bread, butter, living, shelter, life, breathe, safety, security, child, everything. When you start comparing everything, then no matter how good your life back home is, no matter how good your luxury is, no matter how many chotus you might get to help yourself in the daily living, no matter how many maids and whatsoever you might get, it still weighs out. No, Canada still weighs out. There is, however, one thing that I would say, that okay, at the time of retirement, it is then again controversial. So people who are old, how do they manage themselves? Because they don't have their children around them. They probably don't have enough money to survive. Old age homes are really expensive. Pension money is not enough to survive. How do they manage? Okay, now that is one controversial topic. I am also still contemplating, like, how is that going to work out. But for now, that's a topic that is for another day, and probably for another year, because right now I'm in my early 30s. I don't have to worry about my retirement as such. If I can save well, if I can plan my retirement well, I'm sure I'll be able to survive through my retirement age as well, right? So that keeps me sleeping like a baby at the night. I'm sure I will be able to save for my retirement. But as far as my younger years and probably my mid years are concerned, I would definitely want to live here, take benefit of whatever the government has to offer, whatever benefits, whatever my child has to reap. Once they're all grown up, they're all settled in their life, then probably my next phase of my life or my planning will come through. I don't know which country I'll be living in, but for sure I think the first 50 years of my life, I think this country deserves well. They've planned it out well, they have laid everything out well, and they deserve to be called number one in the world. Guys, I hope my experiences did give you much insights into what I think and why I think immigrants don't go back, even despite finding enough reasons that their home might be more luxurious or helpful or whatsoever. Why do they still want to stay back here in Canada? Well, if you have any comments to share, any experiences to share, please feel free to comment in the comment section below. I would be more than happy to read through and probably reply to a couple of them. Guys, I wish you all the best, and I really hope to see you soon in Canada. All the best.